There's a big appeal in like being my own boss, but also like as a journalist, like the opportunity to work with different outlets and tell stories from different perspectives. So I'm Nithin Coca. I'm a freelance journalist currently based in Japan. I've been working as a freelancer for 10 years, and over the last couple of years, I've had the opportunity to work on several independent and also team-led and partner investigations focused on supply chain issues in Asia. You have to realize, I guess, at the beginning, like a lot of people are enthusiastic about going to freelancing because they want to be journalists. But a big part of freelancing is running a business. So you have to be sure you understand the business side of it. How are you going to manage your time, manage your finances? What kind of processes are you going to have to like keep track of your contacts? And the second part is like how you have to market yourself because you're selling yourself as a journalist to publications. Some people it's social media, some people it's just like networking with editors directly, but you have to like figure out how you're kind of marketing and promoting yourself. Otherwise, you're going to have further challenges in actually convincing editors to accept your stories. I don't know if this is like good advice or bad advice, but one of the first things I did as a freelancer was like self-funded a reporting trip, and spent 2 months in Southeast Asia. I was looking at deforestation, just going and meeting forest communities, NGOs in the field, learning about different issues. And then came back to the US where I was based and then just published a bunch of stories based on that first reporting trip. And I think that first trip I like barely made money, but I was able to build on those. I had a lot of clips then, I had a lot of stories, I had like this experience, and that helped me show that I was an effective freelance journalist. I could like produce the types of like interesting content or stories that editors wanted. And that helped me like the second time I did that, I was able to get a lot more assignments in advance. So maybe sometimes taking a risk. I think when I started as a freelancer, I gave myself like 6 months to see how well it was working. And I didn't worry too much about money that 6 months. And I know that everyone can do that, but sometimes like being able to focus on journalism and building a career and not worrying too much about the financial side can maybe reduce the burden and the fear a little bit. I would also say like the first several years were very up and down. There would be like a very busy month with a lot of assignments, and there would be like a month where there'd be nothing. Be willing to say yes to things that maybe you wouldn't say yes to because you just need to get new opportunities, and be prepared for the downtime. Have ideas what to do in the downtime. Maybe you can use that downtime to learn new skills, do data training courses or other types of journalism courses. Maybe you can use that time to network. As a freelancer, you can only do so much, but when you're with a team of journalists, you can do so much more. But in Asia especially, there's not like a regional network where all the freelancers are connected. So you have to kind of go to different places and find what the networks are, who are the people that talk to you. And it can be challenging in certain countries. And there's language barriers and other different types of barriers as well that make it difficult to kind of connect with the right people in the right places. When I travel around Asia, just like meeting people as much as possible, going to like journalism events, reaching out to communities. And in terms of like the collaborations that are with partners, I should definitely say attend conferences like GIJC. I learned so much and made so many connections in the last 4 days I was here that probably would have taken me like a year if I'm just like traveling and meeting people independently. So it's worth the investment. It's not necessarily cheap to go to a conference, but if you plan it properly, it can be, provide a lot of value in return. I think as a freelancer, like the best way to fund an investigation is through grant funding. In terms of like grant applications, I think you have to really make a clear case of like how the funding is going to actually push the story forward. So what will you do with the funding? How is it necessary to actually advance the story? It makes it different from like a regular freelance pitch where you could just report it from home. Why do you need to spend this certain amount of time? Or what can you do with the funding that actually furthers your investigation, helps you gather data or do field reporting or different components? Make that really clear so they can see a clear case of like what value they're adding by providing you this support. Secondary, like you have to really make the case like why you're the journalist to do that. So what reporting have you done on this topic in the past? What types of networks or access do you have to particular sources or regions or other journalists you can work with that actually show like how you can actually make the investigation happen? And I think one thing we don't necessarily think about a lot as journalists is impact. But I think grant-making organizations, they really want to understand what the impact. So what are the social implications of the story you want to investigate? What types of impact it have politically or socially, what type of information. So you have to think maybe beyond the story, beyond the publication, like what other areas can you things you can do are like pitch events. Maybe if it's a labor story, how are you going to engage with workers after the story is published? Things like that to show like beyond just publishing the story, like what else are you going to do to bring the story forward? And I think that component really appeals a lot to grant-making organizations because they're really interested in kind of the broader context of investigative reporting. Having learned from a lot of failures and getting a lot of rejections, I think what grant organizations want to see is just that a freelancer can actually achieve the story. You need to probably have a couple of publications that or editors that want to support your story. I find a lot of freelancers are scared to reach out to editors to ask for those letters because they feel like they're promising something that they can't necessarily commit, and they're scared of cold pitching. But actually, I found editors are quite open to providing letters of support for freelancers, because for them, it's an opportunity to do a really different type of story. And actually, sometimes they're even more open to those types of stories than they are to regular pitches. So I think don't be scared to reach out to editors, see if they're interested in this investigation, your idea, they want to support it. Further down the line, I think editors are actually quite interested and open to doing different types of projects and working with freelancers in different ways. Oftentimes when you get a grant, you also want to work with newsrooms and publications to actually publish the stories. And quite often, a lot of those publications will assume because you have a grant that they don't need to pay you for the story. You're going to provide a story for free. And I found you need to be upfront that the grant doesn't cover the actual publication of the story. They still have a responsibility to pay you for the story. The grant just covers your time and the reporting. So you need to be able to combine different funding sources to be able to produce a story. So be really straightforward and be sure you get paid properly as you would as a freelancer if you were pitching a regular piece to any outlet. Don't let them use you as free labor just because you got this grant. Grants are not enough to survive or fund an investigation. You need to have support from the outlet. You need to have maybe other types of outside support or multiple grants or different, sometimes other funding as well. And unfortunately, sometimes you need to use personal funds to fill in gaps when you're waiting for payment from the grant or from publications. I would like to see more freelance journalists being part of investigations. And I also think I would like to see more collaborations led by freelancers. So I would encourage freelancers to connect with newsrooms or organizations running investigations. Tell them you're in this country, you focus on this because they might be looking for people in the future. It's good to just make yourself present. And also if you meet other freelancers with similar ideas in different countries, maybe just make a call and just talk about, hey, we both cover public health in Japan and Korea. Maybe we can do a public health story together. There's commonalities. In discussions with other journalists, you often find hey, it's the same issue in country X and country Y. Why don't we combine it into one story and find a common thread and make a national story into a regional story, which then has a better chance of having impact globally. I would encourage more freelancers to think about how you can work together, how you can take advantage of funding, and then how you can amplify your impact or your ability to report working with others more. I don't see enough. I'm seeing some discussions, but I'd love to see more freelancers play a more active role, not a passive role in investigative journalism.